All right, welcome to Tabletop Interviews at TotalCon. I'm Peter Bryant. I'm with Solarian Games, and I'm here with
Allen Hammack.
And Allen Hammack is you're independent at this point, right?
I am independent and retired and loving it. Yes.
Nice. So for anyone who may not know, let's start out with Allen. Where do you come from in the gaming industry? You have very long, very active history.
Yeah, I originally from Birmingham, Alabama, and we, in the days of Avalon Hill wargaming, I joined a club so that it was really surprising to find there were other people who liked these complicated games. And so we had a Birmingham club that would meet with the Tuscaloosa club, and we'd alternate driving to each other's locations on weekends to play. And then we became part of a national club called Sparta, and it was a competition type of club, so that meant there were tournaments. And so back in the day when groups like that organized tournaments over a summer, they would do them geographically so that people could drive from tournament to tournament to tournament to convent,
Right.
in a semi-logical pattern if you had all the time in the world. So you'd start out with one in Los Angeles and go to one in Minneapolis, and then one in Cincinnati, and then over to Philadelphia, and then up to Fall River, Massachusetts, and then back down to Birmingham. So,
And were they close in time? Were they like a month apart or
each weekend apart?
Oh, so you would go weekend to weekend to weekend. Holy
right.
moly.
If you made the grand circuit, you were talking about 6 or 7 weeks of time.
Wow.
And I never did that. I did a 2-week version of it, going up to Cincinnati and Philadelphia and then Fall River.
Jeez, that sounds wild.
I know.
And this is in the 70s?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Early 70s for that, and then so anyway, a lot of experience at conventions and tournaments. This new thing called Dungeons and Dragons was coming out. We played it, liked it, saw that there was going to be this really nice super convention called Origins One, and we packed up the cars and went to that and played, and I did very well in the D&D tournament there. And later that summer went to Gen Con 9, and I did very well in that tournament. I won the best mage. All of the awards were by class instead of by team or individual at that point.
So wait, just real quick, I'm sorry. Do you have like a medal or a certificate or something as best mage?
No, I don't. The prize was a gift certificate to the TSR booth.
Okay.
And I used that gift certificate to buy my first set of the D&D rules, the white box.
Nice.
So,
wow. Phew, it's worth a lot of money now.
Yeah, it would have been.
So then at some point you start working for TSR.
Right. So I discovered that the real prize for winning a D&D tournament is that they say, you're too good, we can't let you play anymore, now you've got to be a judge, a DM next year. So they make you a DM for the tournament in the following year. And after a year of that, I say that, it just happened this way. Then TSR offered me a job. I had replied to a little want ad in the Dragon, and for an editor, and totally forgot about it. And Gary Gygax calls me over to the convention as he's waiting in line for food, and says, "When can you start?" And so I went, "A month," and being young and foolish, it didn't take long to brassle up a couple of friends and help me move in a car and pack meager belongings up to the wilds of Lake Geneva. So,
Jeez, what did your friends and family and stuff think of that? Like, hey, I'm gonna pack up and go work for this company editing games. Were they like, are you crazy?
My folks were very understanding about trying to do your own thing. But I mean, I thought, and I presented as such, that I would just do this for a year. I thought, do my hobby for a year and then go back and finish my master's in chemistry, and I was very close to finishing it at that point. And the wages at TSR were not great, and so it's like, okay, I'm probably not going to make a living here, but I kept getting promotions. I became manager, designer, and then product planning manager for non-fantasy role-playing games, which meant everything except D&D.
Right. So you have to work on everything but D&D.
Right. That was at that point. And so that would be Boot Hill, Top Secret, Gangbusters, and the
Star
rest.
Frontiers?
Star Frontiers.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, we just so I'm gonna throw this out to you and see if you remember this. So we're looking online. We saw this article for a game that TSR was going to publish, and they'd even put an ad out for it and everything, and it just never happened. And it was with Flint Dille, and it was called RIP. Were you aware of that at all at TSR?
Aware of it, yes, but Flint wasn't on our list of favorite people in the design department. So
okay, right.
I'll just we'll say that. I mean,
okay,
I tried not to. There were lots of what I would consider vanity projects for friends of Gary and the Blooms and things like that wouldn't be what those of us who were in the design and editing and development and artist department would have preferred to see the way TSR went.
Right.
We would have loved Gary to concentrate on finishing his T modules and Castle Greyhawk and stuff like that.
Right.
As opposed to the diversification into needlework and crafts and Flint,
yes.
project and things like that.
Right. It was just really weird because I'd never heard of it. And then somebody had brought it up, and they said, yeah, there was actually ads I forget, somewhere, there was ads advertising this game that was coming out. But it never got anywhere, never went anywhere at all.
Well, every once in a while, and this was, marketing and advertising could sometimes get ahead of themselves and forget to check with, say, the product planning managers about
the people doing the work, right?
Well, yes. No, we had a name for this game, but we don't have any art, and there isn't a game yet.
Right. Right. It's on the list. It's not. We don't have a due date yet.
In today's terms, that's the way some people run Kickstarters. It's a very bad way to run a Kickstarter.
That's a terrible way to run a Kickstarter.
I like the ones where they say it's already written, now we just want some money to publish it. So.
Right, and that's what we do. So
yes.
we do that. We make sure that our Kickstarter is finished. I mean, like even down to the art. Although we've been having to revisit that concept where it may not be completely finished because art is not cheap. That's like the most expensive thing for us. Because we do our own writing and stuff like that. And again, the art, you have to, it's not cheap.
And there's a time factor that you can't control if you're using, outside artists, which almost everybody has to.
Right.
So, yes, it can be problem. That's why there were, managers to look at that sort of thing and do the predictions.
Right. All right, so then, you worked on Top Secret with Merle.
Yes.
Where I'm very familiar with because, as Solarium, we do the latest version that you worked on.
Right.
How was that experience working with Merle and putting that all together and putting Top Secret out?
Well, the initial working with Merle involved a lot of correspondence because he wasn't at the company until a year or so after we started talking about the game. And so it involved a lot of letters going back and forth by snail mail, which is what we had in those days.
And these are letters that, right?
Typing on a manual typewriter with carbon paper and
whiteout,
and whiteout, all of those lovely issues, and a lot of my correspondence with Merle would be, I enjoyed your chapter on 1,000 venomous plants in the area. We're gonna need to trim that. Do you want to trim it to like 100 of your favorites, or would you rather me do it?
Right.
And that a lot of it was that sort of thing. And I would ask Merle for 10 pages, and he'd send me 30 pages, and then we have to go back and forth, and it's really a lot easier for an editor to trim down the size than to say we need more.
Right. Right.
But we did evolve the combat systems and other things that he knew in his mind how he had played it out, but it hadn't gotten onto the page yet,
right.
Or in a clear enough fashion.
Right.
So
right.
that, and we had much the same process going through Top Secret New World Order, where we had many, many group phone calls and hashing out things. If one of the 4 or 5 people on the team thought that it wasn't clear, then we went, okay, we haven't made it clear enough. Because 4 of us think it's clear doesn't mean it's clear enough.
Right. Yeah, you have the problem as a designer. You have, we call it curse of knowledge. You know how it works, right? So you can't be objective about like whether somebody can figure this out or not. Of course you can. It's easy, right? It's like, and somebody else looks like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. I don't get this at all.
There was a very early cartoon in Strategic Review, the predecessor to the Dragon magazine, and it had a cartoon version of Tim Cass coming in with a letter from a D&D player who says, Gary, this guy's got a question about how flying works, and the cartoon Gary presses a button and says, nonsense, the rules are clear and concise, and the button drops Tim out a trapdoor or something like that, so but and a lot of times that's the way, that's the insider knowledge of the writer, and you've got to be willing to accept that and to accept the outside view to make things more accessible. You really don't want to be showing off your own knowledge and superiority. You want as many readers as possible to be able to get it and to enjoy it.
Right. And you got, you do have to pick your difficulty level. Like, like, is this for more experienced gamers or not? Because you can only write to one.
Sure.
Right. So you got to say, what are we writing to? Is this going to be a game that's for beginners? Because if you do write something that is very, very simple and easy, like really super easy and fun to follow, you generally can't get into the more complex things because they're more complex, right?
Right.
So you're writing for that audience, right? So I feel that you have to pick your, like, hey, this is the grade level we're writing to.
One of the and we did. There are actually, of course, reading level tests that you can run on your rules that'll tell you 3rd grade, 5th grade,
right.
Kind of things like that. One of our friends and colleagues, Mike Gray, had worked at Milton Bradley, and when he came to TSR, he was going to be the executive in charge of the kind of family games that we were going to work on, like Fantasy Forest and later Dungeon, or the remake of Dungeon and things like that. And he said, look, Milton Bradley has the concept that the rules have to fit on the box top. And he said, it's not the same kind of thing, here, but it's a good metaphor to look for. If you're writing games to be understandable for 7-year-olds, then think about making all of the rules fit on a box top,
right.
and keep it at that level.
Yeah, I find when I when I get into designing stuff, I generally tend to overcomplicate it initially, and then do the dwindling down, scaling back of it. Or look at it, go, oh yeah, nobody's gonna like that. Like, it's cool, I like what it does, but that's too much at the table for people to be doing. Even I don't really want to do that, and I made it. You know?
And every once in a while, you get all that worked, and then the publisher goes, but I want this, and it's a more complicated system of a particular facet, and you go, okay, well, you're the publisher, you know, I can't do anything.
Right.
But you've made your best professional estimate at that point, and you give them the work. So,
yeah. And, you know, not to belabor, you know, what happened with TSR, you know, it's a long story. We're not going to tell that story here. You can go online and find it. There's many stories on it.
It went downhill after I left. That's the short version. So.
Right. So you left TSR. What did you do when you left TSR? Did you go into, I already know the answers, but did you go into other gaming stuff, or did you take a break, or what did you do?
Well, the first thing that we did was my wife and I opened a game book and comic store called Lion and Unicorn, and I decided that I could still use my gaming expertise here to advising people about miniatures to buy and game systems and things like that. And I discovered that running a retail store is a lot of hard work. And if you're going to do the convention sort of thing where you pack up your van and go to a convention and be a dealer for a weekend, it's even more hard work. It's a real grind, packing and unpacking and hoping that you make your hotel and gas money on the first day and things like that. So,
and your vendor fees for your table and stuff.
Please, you know. So be kind to your vendors at conventions. That's all I'll say. So we ran the store for a few years. I was involved in it for about 4 years, and then we decided that I wasn't making quite enough money to help support our son going into college, and so I left to do the computer sales and repair and support things that I had discussed off camera earlier, and did that for several years, and then got employed as a manager of information systems for an explosives company, which was nice, yes. And that was where I first learned their big joke for everyone is to show you the vat of plastic explosive and to take a paddle of it. Well, here it is, and they slap it on the ground real hard, and they show you that nothing can happen without
electricity.
The primer,
the primer, yeah.
And you need a blasting cap to set it off. And so I employed that knowledge in further games.
Did your like when you were doing that, is that where you got to actually use some of your chemistry degree?
A little bit, and later on I worked for a wastewater laboratory and was actually in the laboratory that did the analysis, and I got to use my chemistry for a full year before they realized that I knew more about computers than their computer person, and I got shifted into the computer end for that.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. No. Then I became a programmer analyst and systems analyst for a nice long career.
Oh, good. Okay, good. Yeah, because I worked for an engineering company, and it was a very small company. It was like 5 employees total, and that included the owner, right? And none of them knew anything about, keeping a computer running with software and backing up files and stuff like that. And neither did I really, but I knew a little bit more than everyone else, so I became the IT guy, and I hated that job. I hated being the IT guy. And so when I started working for another company where, I was just a user, I would just pretend I didn't know how computers worked. Right, because I didn't want to become the IT guy again. So I was like, I don't know how this thing works. Because Because
Yes.
it's like as soon as somebody finds out you can do a thing, they make you do the thing.
Remember, you don't need to know everything. You just need to know more than everybody else about that thing.
Right,
So,
right. So you had a nice long career doing that.
Yes.
And then I'm assuming you retired and decided to get back into doing gaming stuff, or were you still working, or?
no, I retired, and I had this fantasy of when I retired, that was all of a sudden I was going to spend all of my time playing games and watching, playing all the games that I never got to play during the career, and watching the movies and the videos and all of my friends on their podcasts, and there's not enough hours in the day. Retiring doesn't magically give you, that kind of thing, and you have to keep working at things. I have some of my health issues have weakened my stamina, and I find I can't really stay at a keyboard more than a couple of hours a day. So I can't. I've worked a little bit on projects. I just find that if I was trying to do a project of any length anymore, it would just take a long time because of the limited amount of time that I can work there.
Right. So that was going to be my next question. Was I know you've so you worked on the Top Secret New World Order.
Yes.
That we put out. What is it now? Is it 10 years? I think 10 years ago.
I don't know. It's been a long time since that great photo here that we have of our group.
Right. But then after that, what did you do after? Did you work on much stuff after that, or?
Not a lot of things. I looked at some things for friends, as an extra eye, and I wrote I was one of the authors in Goodman's How to Write Adventures Modules That Don't Suck.
Right. Yeah.
And that was a lot of fun. Jim Ward was the organizer for that group of crazies, and I recently wrote for Lindbander Studios a Ghost Tower module for their Imaria world setting, and it's their Kickstarter did fund, and it's in pre-order status now. I think I still haven't seen it out as a physical thing, but it's one of those things where I love my beginning and I love my ending, and I wasn't as happy with the middle as I had been in other projects, but I got it out on time.
There you go. There you go. And I think Ghost Tower, wasn't that rated as one of, like the original, wasn't that rated as one of the best D&D modules of that time period?
Yeah, for whoever does the ratings, it'll appear somewhere in the top 50 or top 25 or top 10 or whoever. And some people it's their favorite. Yeah. So
I know a lot of people love it.
Yeah,
I know it's a popular one. You run it here.
I run it every convention. The organizers pretty much demand that. And then I usually run the sequel, Return to Inverness, that Elisa Teague wrote for Adventurers League. And I only ran that a couple of times, and then I kept getting requests from players, we want to run in both of them on the same weekend. And I went, yeah, okay, do what the players want.
So one of the things I've noticed when I run an adventure that I've run before, like, I don't always run brand new adventures every con and every day. I have run quite a few of these multiple times, and I'm always really interested in the way it turns out, because it never turns out the same, right? Do you have for running Ghost Tower, do you have anything that stands out that was just like, really, you were just like, wow, like I'd never seen a player do that, or that was very interesting, or like anything that really, really stood out?
Every single time.
Really?
Yeah,
okay,
it is amazing the number of new ideas, good and bad, that you see happening. I was teasing one of my players I played in a game last night, and a couple of them had played in Inverness, and they were talking about, I said, yeah, some people are legendary, but not for the right reasons, you know. So, but yes, one of the most spectacular things recently was I got to Joe Manganella played in my Inverness game last year, and he dominated and raised and giant undead creature and rode it as a mount into the next level, and I said, okay, that's Hollywood spectacular level, nicely done.
Nice.
You know, so
Yeah.
so yes, there are great examples of things like that.
Cool, very cool.
Yeah.
All right, well, Alan, thanks for doing one of these interviews with us, and just one last question, just mainly because it's one of the ones I want to ask everybody before they leave the interview. What is your thought about TotalCon as a con? Like, what makes it stand out for you amongst other cons? Because every con has something that you really love about it. What would be the thing you would say that TotalCon endears to you?
I have a lot of good friends here, and the more that I play, the more it's not about the game you're playing, it's not about the system you're playing, it's not even about the results of the game, it's about the people that you're with at the table.
Yeah.
And if you've got a group of friends that like to laugh, you're going to have fun at that game, and that's what TotalCon offers. A lot of great players, great fun, and good humor. I like it.
Yeah, people come here to game. This is a gamers con. Like, they try and do some other stuff like panels and stuff, and some of it goes off okay, everything, but the game, it's all about gaming here.
Somebody showed me his schedule, just jam packed from segment to segment with things. I went, I used to do that when I was in my 20s, but I'm not gonna try that now.
I can't sit at a table for 15 hours a day. Yeah.
So,
all right. Well, thanks for joining us, and it's always good. It's always a pleasure. We've worked
Thank
together,
you.
and
Yes.
I love working with you. And,
Yes.
and I hope you keep coming to TotalCon for the foreseeable future.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right. Thanks a lot.
All right.